coyotes. I'm meteorologist John Weatherby.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it must be Friday. It is Friday, December 22nd, and it's hard to believe that Monday is going to be Christmas. So I want to send a big, hearty, very Merry Christmas to our listening audience, to my guest here today. Take the time to do what matters most, and that is to be with the ones you love and love the ones you're with. I think there was a song written by CSNY that said that, but nevertheless, moments matter, and when you're in the aging profession like we are, we realize that even more so than ever before. So enjoy this upcoming holiday, and if you're in your car right now and you're heading to California, if you're heading up to Flagstaff, or you're heading to the airport to fly somewhere, be safe, travel safe, get home safe. There are going to be a lot of people out there on the roads today. So welcome to Health Futures. If you are just tuning in for the very first time, our show is about how our older adults can live a healthier, happier life. And how do we do this? We bring extraordinary guests here to the show. And today is no different. And I'm just going to jump right into it because we have a lot to cover. So I am very, very pleased, and you as our listening audience, we're going to be overwhelmed by our guest here today. I have Ulya Khan, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Tivity Health. And for those that don't know who Tivity Health is, and I wasn't quite sure who they were, their flagship brand is Silver Sneakers. And if you're in the older adult world, you know who Silver Sneakers are. But I wanted to take this moment and welcome Ulya to the show. Welcome to the show, Ulya.
Thank you, Bob, and happy holidays to all the listeners.
Well, thank you. And, I want to jump into it because, Tivity Health, and I just learned just spending some time with you who you guys are. And if you could just take our listening audience through who Tivity Health is, how you guys came to be. I know that you have three core businesses, and Silver Sneakers being the flagship. If you would just give us a quick rundown, and then I want to focus in on really primarily Silver Sneakers, but the other two I learned about, I want to touch on those too because they're very important in what's going on in our community.
Sure, Bob. Happy to talk about it. So it's not very often that one stumbles upon a business where doing good is also good for business. So Tivity Health is basically in the business of keeping people healthy, happy, fit. And our three flagship, our three products that you talked about are really start with Silver Sneakers, which is the flagship product. And Silver Sneakers actually came about 25 years ago.
25 years ago?
Yes,
wow.
We celebrated our 25th anniversary this year.
And was it here in Arizona it was born?
Yeah. Yes,
Nice.
It was started by a lady called Mary Swanson, and out of necessity, when Mary's father had a heart attack and was going through a recovery process, she went through her own discovery and set something up, which now is known as Silver Sneakers. And so Silver Sneakers is available to anybody who's 65 and above. It's a fitness benefit, and I urge all listeners to actually go and check their health plans, the Medicare Advantage health plans. You can go to silversneakers.com to check whether your health plan offers Silver Sneakers, because if it does, it means that you will have free access to about 14,000 fitness centers nationwide.
14,000.
14,000, and with full reciprocity nationally. So our program is the only program which provides a fitness benefit with this kind of reciprocity. And of course, we are, aware that many of our members who participate in this program, some of them might be snowbirds, and it's very important that they can go to different places wherever they are, so that their health is never compromised. Basically, the Silver Sneakers, in addition to providing access to 14,000 plus locations, we have experts within our team who are very familiar with the aging body, and therefore we have developed special programming and classes for the older adult population. And these include basically classes that are, we take pains to make sure that the music is just right for this age demographic. So how many beats per minute? So from what the music does to even the kind of exercises that we design. For example, our classes don't normally have floor exercises because this age demographic, when they are on the floor, it's hard for them to get up. We have chair-based classes, water classes, and, in addition to fitness, what Silver Sneakers, I often tell people that Silver Sneakers is really a cure for social isolation and depression under the guise of a fitness benefit.
I love it. No, I really do. Okay. I mean, we've talked about it here on our show. You talk about 65 and older. And Ulya, I apologize for interrupting, but I do want to just re-say what I've said over and over again. Nearly 1/3 of our population, 65 and older, is living home alone.
Yeah.
So this gives them an opportunity to go and be with others and meet other people and do things that are really important for your health.
Exactly. But if you tried to sell somebody a program that tackles social isolation, I doubt anybody would turn up. But you call it a fitness benefit, and you tell people, surely you want to be healthy for your grandchildren, you want to be healthy for, your family, and come participate. And people show up. And in fact, I kid you not, that when you ask people who have been participating in Silver Sneakers, what is that program about? They say three things. First, they say, Silver Sneakers is all about friendship, it's fun, and yes, it's fitness. What's fascinating is that the fitness part almost comes third. The first two overtake the fitness piece because, to your point earlier, people turn up at a location at a particular time, and other people of similar age demographic are doing the same. And if you keep doing it on a regular basis, eventually you make friendships. And we have so many amazing member stories that, we have been sharing through our Facebook pages. But there are just incredible, inspirational stories where people were about to sort of give up on life after the partner passed away. And they discovered the Silver Sneakers program, and they felt like it's a new lease on life for them. They have a thriving social life. In fact, one Arizona-based member wrote to us recently saying that she was a bad cook. So her husband was the cook, and then he died, and she started to get into depression, and her sister forced her into the Silver Sneakers program. And she said, and her sister started cooking for her as well. By the time the sister passed away, her Silver Sneaker friends had taken over, and these people were cooking for her. Every day, different person was cooking for her. So she had a 7-day meal delivery through her Silver Sneakers community.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And again, this is free if your
Correct.
health plan it offers Silver Sneaker.
Correct.
You said 14,000.
14,000 locations, and most of the large health plans do offer Silver Sneakers benefit. So, but it's not to be confused with a fitness benefit, because some health plans go with other fitness benefits,
Right.
which are different to Silver Sneakers. They do not have the kind of reciprocity that we have, and they certainly don't have classes. In addition to classes at facilities, we are very aware of the psyche of our members, and we know that many of them find the gyms daunting.
Yes.
In that case, we actually take the classes to them, or we do classes in community centers, parks, and other locations. So that's called a flex program. So
I'm looking at your website, and I will tell you it's exactly as it's spelled, silversneakers.com. Really easy to navigate, and under the Learn button, it says gym fitness, community fitness classes, and friends. Yeah. It is a community. It literally is a network community that you can come to and flourish, especially if you are living alone and, like you said, are depressed, losing a loved one.
Exactly. People say there is no magic pill. I would say if you are 65 and above and you have silver sneakers, that could well be your magic pill.
I like it. I like it a lot. Now, just real quickly, I know we're coming up to the end of the first segment. So we have silver sneakers, that's part of Activity Health. And then there's something called Prime Fitness.
Prime Fitness, that is the fitness benefit offered to 18 to 64-year-old through a few commercial health plans. That's correct. And again, with Prime Fitness, you have access to about 9,000 plus locations with full reciprocity.
And I love that because that's kind of like, the entree into before you get to silver sneakers.
Exactly.
It is really grassroots, so to speak, right?
Yes, get people into healthier habits earlier. So by the time they turn 65 and become silver sneakers eligible, they're already on a good path.
And then the last one is called Whole Health Living, and that's more of a holistic approach, right?
Yes, we have a network of complementary alternate medicine sort of providers, including, acupuncturists, massage therapists, physio, chiro practitioners, and so on and so forth. So,
I love that. We're winding down our first segment. We got maybe about 10 more seconds. So a little bit more on that.
So maybe after the break, I can talk a little bit more about that.
Perfect. So. And when we do come back from the break, I want to really focus a lot on silver sneakers because that really is our demographic.
Yes.
We're working with older adults to try to help them live a healthier, happier life.
And age in place and in community, most importantly.
Exactly. And I had an incredible guest last week. His name is Dr. David Spearer, and he has a company called Roundtable Health. And I want to play a segment from his show from last week.
Great.
We're down one segment. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Johnny Dean.
And I'm Rick, the Professor Plum.
Every day on Bucket Strategy Investing, we're talking about financial planning, investment decisions, and retirement strategies.
We focus on wealth education and the strategy designed for the needs you have today.
And the goals you have for the future. Tune in to Bucket Strategy Investing.
And call in with questions.
Retirement strategies, taxes, Social Security, and more. That's what we're talking about on Bucket Strategy Investing.
January is a great time of year in the Valley. Sun is shining with a high of 70 degrees, and now Financial Fest. Financial Fest 25, Saturday, January 27th in Scottsdale. This is our 25th annual Financial Fest, so we have big plans for one of the country's longest-running financial and investment expos. Financial and investment strategies, and a wide variety of exhibitors. Financial Fest is free to attend, so register today at financialfest.com.
It's an extremely valuable resource. It's found in offices, buildings, and schools. It's a resource that speaks volume, yet it never makes a sound. Everyone recognizes it. Everyone uses it. Interestingly enough, it's rarely discussed. Croy Sign Systems, designers and manufacturers of architectural and ADA signs since 1981. Let Croy be your resource for identification, direction, and information. Give Croy Signs a call at 480-619-6070 or online at kroysigns.com.
Hello, Bill Tatro here. In all my years in radio, I said the same thing. Whether it's politics or finance, history or economics, it's all about money. I now produce an insightful newsletter called It's All About Money, and I'm presenting an exclusive offer to Money Radio listeners. Go to BillTatro.com/moneyradio to get my newsletter for over half off the regular price and get regular content that will educate, inform, and may even be fun. Go to BillTatro.com/moneyradio for over half off. Do it today.
Support the Jewish Tuition Organization Private School Tax Credit. Provide need-based scholarships. Visit jtophoenix.org.
Now back to Health Futures. Taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in for the first time right now, I've got Ulya Khan, and she is from Tivity Health. She's the Chief Operating Officer, and we've been talking about Tivity Health, and mainly we've been talking about silver sneakers. If you missed the first segment, you can catch it right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button and hit the drop-down arrow. Third one down is the radio show. You can catch this show in its entirety, and you can catch about 180 others that we've been bringing to you for nearly 5 years. So when we left off, we were talking about the three principal companies. We were talking about Silver Sneakers, we were talking about Prime Fitness, and we were talking about Whole Health Living. And I know that Ulya said that we'll weave that Whole Health Living into our Silver Sneakers conversation. But one of the things I want to do is just take a moment, because I had an incredible guest. I brought it on, or I said it at the end of the first segment, Dr. David Spearer, and he talked about what happens to the body when it ages. And I want to play this for you, Ulya, and I want to play it for our listening audience. James?
So from the cardiovascular system standpoint, what ends up happening is our hearts beat about 72 times a minute on average. We go through a 24-hour day. Those days, we have 365 of those a year. Right? We live on an average 76 years. Do the math. You're talking about millions of beats. And after those beats are done, that's really it. So heart failure affects about 5 million people in this country. And although it's not as sexy as cancer is, it still affects a very large portion of individuals, and it's a very difficult condition to deal with. So the first thing that happens is our vessels start to stiffen. They're not as flexible. They don't move as easily. And because of that, what ends up happening is we put a little bit more pressure on our heart to force the blood through the system. As we do that, what ends up happening as our heart fills before pumping all the blood out to the body, we lose that filling pressure. We lose that filling time. And because we lose the filling time, the amount of blood, the volume of blood is lessened. Because we have less blood in the heart to eject out, less of it goes out to the body. What does that do? So, from a physiological standpoint, that's all well and good. But how does that really affect our function? Well, think about it. The blood carries oxygen. The less blood you have pumping through your system, the less oxygen you have. If you need to lift a grocery bag, believe it or not, you're using oxygenated blood to do that. The less oxygen you have, the harder it's going to be to do those small tasks. And as the heart starts to get weaker, those tasks become much more difficult. So that's from a, let's say, cardiovascular standpoint. From a muscular standpoint, hate to say it, but after the age of 25, we start to lose muscle tissue. We start to lose our proteins. We start to lose the muscle tone. Can we maintain that? Yes, to a degree we can. And there have been studies that show that people who are 90 years old still see increases in muscle. But what ends up happening is we start to lose the muscle tissue that's responsible for power, responsible for get up and go. So what we're left with is the muscle tissue that's kind of there that kind of helps us with what you would say long-term type physical activity. And as we lose that powerful muscle tissue, it's very hard to do things like get up out of a chair, like lift groceries, lift a grandchild, whatever is required to do that kind of lifting. We don't have that muscle tissue to do it. Now, combine that with the less oxygenation or the decrease in oxygenation, now you've got an issue where your muscles aren't getting oxygenated, plus you don't really have the muscle tissue to do the kind of lifting that you're requiring your body to do. Metabolism. Our appetite slows. We slow our appetite. We have what's known as aging anorexia, where we don't really feel like eating as much. We may end up with, certain bowel issues. There may be stomach issues, things like that. Our intestines aren't as flexible. All of those things. Digestion starts to slow down. And in terms of our bones, we lose calcium and therefore our bones are a little bit more brittle. I don't know if you've heard the scenario where somebody falls and breaks their hip. In many cases, the hip breaks and they fall. So the bones are brittle enough that they just snap.
So that is Dr. David Spear. And you know what? The items that he talks about, the heart, the muscle, the metabolism, and the loss of bone mass. I think, and the reason why I wanted to play it, because it was so powerful, really talking about the physiology of the human body. What Silver Sneakers has got is somewhat the magic pill, right?
Indeed it is. And in fact, the program benefits that are reported back are just staggering. 9 out of 10 members tell us that they improved their chronic conditions just after 2 months of participation in our exercise programs. And in addition to helping seniors get into the best physical shape of their lives, Silver Sneakers also helps with mental engagement, cognitive health, because in order to follow the instructions that the instructors are giving, etc., you need to engage the brain. And last but not least, the social, the social component is so big and becomes bigger the longer people stay in the program. So when we look at some of the pain points that are really exist within the health system today, where is the money going as people age? What are some of the big pain points that the health plans might be facing, where they start spending big time on the older adults? So there are big time. So
we were talking about Alzheimer's. The amount of money that's being spent on that is incredible. Over $236 billion with a B.
Exactly. So a little bit of how they used to say prevention is better than cure. Well, Silver Sneakers is like insurance, and it's like this prevention, so that you don't need a cure. So the 4 areas where the most amount of money is being spent is, number 1, diabetes. And of course, exercise is needed in addition to the right nutrition to address that, and Silver Sneakers helps there. The second area is actually falls, right? Somebody falls, and that's a lot of the times when you are an older adult, and we just heard on the segment about the bones getting brittle. So many times when people fall, unfortunately, that's the beginning of the end.
It is.
And with Silver Sneakers, our classes actually reinforce and teach people stability and how to make sure that you don't end up falling, and how to be more stable and more mindful. So fall prevention is again being addressed through the programming that we deliver. And then the third area is really depression, which social isolation that we again discussed that with Silver Sneakers. You come into the program and suddenly you build this thriving community which becomes like an extended family. And the fourth area where money is being spent is, lack of adherence to treatment. People are prescribed pills or whatever treatment for their conditions, and many, many chronic conditions as you get older, and people don't adhere to that treatment. Well, guess what? With Silver Sneakers, people actually can get off pills, so they don't need to remember to take as many pills.
Well, I'll tell you what. It is amazing what Silver Sneakers does. And the socialization piece is big. It's hard to believe we're at halftime here at Health Futures. We're going to take a break right now. Please come back for our third segment. You've been listening to Health Futures, and I got Ulya Khan from Silver Sneakers, Tivity Health, in the studio. We'll be right back.
It's the bottom of the hour. We pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
President Trump has landed in Florida, where he'll spend the Christmas holiday, but he left behind at the White House a signed into law Christmas present for some, the tax cut bill.
This is the bill right here, and we're very proud of it. It's going to be a tremendous thing for the American people. It's going to be fantastic for the economy. And I consider this very much a bill for the middle class and a bill for jobs.
Trump also signed a bill extending government funding until January 19th, avoiding a shutdown as the government was set to run out of money at midnight tonight. The United Nations Security Council unanimously approved tough new sanctions on North Korea today in response to the latest launch of a ballistic missile that Pyongyang says is capable of reaching anywhere in the U.S. mainland. The new sanctions sharply cut North Korea's import imports of refined oil force all North Koreans working overseas to return home within 2 years, and they crack down on shipping to and from the country. A day in the red for Wall Street, the Dow off 50, the S&P and NASDAQ with smaller losses. Michael Toscano.
Colonel Sanders here with another important holiday message from KFC. This year, don't get the ones you love, some lame, boring gift like a new car, or jewelry, or toys, or expensive electronics, or any other junk. Nope, get that special someone what they really want. Exactly! A KFC $5 fill-up with 100% white meat popcorn chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, a biscuit, a cookie, and a drink. It's a perfect gift for all those important people in your life who get hungry right around lunchtime. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Available for a limited time only. Pricing and participation may vary. Tax extra.
The national debt is now over $20 trillion. What happens next? Rising inflation drops in the dollar's value. Some experts say another crash is coming. You can fight this, not with stocks or bonds, but with gold and silver coins in an IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. Call 855-858-5807 and learn how an IRA backed by physical gold and silver can hedge against inflation. Call Augusta Precious Metals right now at 855-858-5807 and get a free gold IRA guide. Call 855-858-5807.
Presented. If you're still working, you're still making money. But what about retirement? Make sure you have reliable income then, too. Keep listening to your Money Radio experts to find out how.
What are the leading asset classes in the market right now?
Stocks, bonds, cash, gold.
BestStocksNowApp.com. What are the leading indexes in the world currently?
U.S., Europe, Japan, South America, emerging markets.
BestStocksNowApp.com. What are the best sectors in the market now?
Energy, technology, retail, financials, healthcare.
BestStocksNowApp.com. What are the best stocks in the market now from a valuation, relative performance, and technical perspective?
Exxon, Celgen, Apple, Delta, just to name a few.
BestStocksNowApp.com. The Best Stocks Now app database currently has over 4,000 stocks, indexes, exchange-traded funds, and mutual funds to choose from.
Wow, that's a lot.
What are the best ones now? BestStocksNowApp.com. The Best Stocks Now app was invented by Bill Gunderson and Douglas Apperly. Bill Gunderson is the president of Gunderson Capital Management. In addition to the PC version, the Best Stocks Now app is also available on Apple and Android platforms. BestStocksNowApp.com.
January is a great time of year in the Valley. Sun is shining with a high of 70 degrees, and now Financial Fest. Financial Fest 25, Saturday, January 27th in Scottsdale. This is our 25th annual Financial Fest, so we have big plans for one of the country's longest-running financial and investment expos, hourly educational workshops, and a wide variety of exhibitors. Financial Fest is free to attend, so register today at financialfest.com.
If you're listening to this message, then that's a good sign. In fact, we're always interested in good signs. Good signs identify people and places. Good signs communicate important information. With our business, we not only encourage good signs, we create them. We're Croy Sign Systems. Our signs identify, direct, and inform so you can navigate through life faster and easier. And that's a really good Croy sign. Call Croy Sign Systems today at 480-619-6070 or visit us online at kroysigns.com.
Support the Jewish tuition organization Private School Tax Credit. Provide need-based scholarships. Visit jtophoenix.org.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. The subscription movie service MoviePass has an unusual problem. Too many customers. The company announced it had hit a new milestone of 1 million customers thanks to the move it made in August to slash its monthly fee to $10. But some of those new customers are complaining that they have yet to receive their member cards or have been unable to activate them due to glitches in the MoviePass app. Other customers are complaining that customer service is difficult to contact. MoviePass CEO Mitch Lowe acknowledged the problems customers are facing and said the company has hired more employees to handle the influx. The home security company ADT has filed documents for an initial public offering more than a year after it went private in a leveraged buyout. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 44 points, the NASDAQ is off 5 points, and the S&P 500 is down 1. That's Your Money Now.
Celebrate the new year on a new floor at Lumber Liquidators year-end flooring clearance sale. Save big on over 200 floors. Get the lowest price of the year on our thickest water-resistant laminate and wood-look waterproof flooring. Get pre-finished hardwood up to 35% off, bamboo up to 33% off, and take an extra 15% off clearance in-store. Get more from 49 cents while supplies last. Plus professional installation and special financing. Don't wait. Get to your local Lumber Liquidators today.
MSNBC. Tough on dishonesty.
They keep denying things that then turn out to be true.
Love for country.
Being an American is an honor, and those who become Americans know it, feel it, revere it.
Tough on our leaders.
It is a massive transfer of wealth from workers in the middle class to the wealthiest people in this country.
Love for our ideals.
This is a government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Tough love. Administered nightly. Weeknight 7 to 11 Eastern on MSNBC.
Temperature with the sun in the mid-40s. The field is firm, not frozen. 76,000 plus are here to enjoy this playoff battle. Hello, everyone, and you see the remnants of the first part of 1988. It's been snowy and icy and bitter cold, but oh my, has this Sunday bloomed a beauty. And for the players and coaches in this game, the weather will not decide who moves on in the playoff.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've got Ulya Khan. She's the Chief Operating Officer from Tivity Health. And James, thank you for playing that little clip. That was Dick Enberg, if you didn't recognize the voice. He's been the voice of sports for many, many, many years. And he's best known for one signature phrase that we all know for home runs, and that is, touch 'em all. After the ball's hit, he goes, touch 'em all. Oh, my. And Dick Enberg's going to be missed. We had a few losses in 2017. Some greats are no longer here with us. We've had the opportunity to memorialize people like Glenn Campbell and Mary Tyler Moore and Jerry Lewis and others, Bill Paxton. So it's been a tough year losing some really great people. And you know, for sports fans like me, Dick Enberg was somebody I grew up with, did the World Series, did Olympics, just a great loss for us sports fans out there. But let's pivot back to why we're here. We're here about how we as older adults and the community can help people live what I like to really endorse here on our show is a healthier, happier life. And Silver Sneakers seems to have that secret ingredient in doing that.
Absolutely, Bob. If we just take a step back and look at some of the macro picture, so what's the reality is that the silver tsunami is going to hit us, and many of the businesses and people are just ill prepared for that to happen. And what I mean by silver tsunami is the birth rates continue to decline, not just in the U.S., but globally as well, while people are actually living longer. And in fact, I was reviewing a study done by the MIT Aging Lab, run by Joe Coughlin, and what they show there is that children born in 2007, about 50% of those will live a healthy life, hopefully, up to the age of 104 in the U.S., and life expectancy will go up to 107 in Japan and some other countries. So if you think about it, being alive 40 years after you retire, how does that feel? And the reason I'm saying this is because if we look at what's going to happen, everybody wants to live longer, but they don't want to live longer and sick lives or, be a burden on everybody else. So to make sure that as we live longer, we are also living healthier lives, both healthy physically, mentally, socially. And that is really going to happen through communities, people finding support systems within the communities, And that's why a program like Silver Sneakers is so relevant and important.
You know, you've hit on something that I've talked about over and over again here on our show. I mean, birth rates are down. I mean, at an all-time low here in the United States and in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've quoted this on numerous occasions, and I wanted to share it with you here as well as our listening audience. And Dr. Ken Dykewell, who wrote the book The Age Wave back in 1986, he wrote a position paper last year for the presidential election talking about what each party needed to focus in on as it relates to aging. And he was an aging advisor to 3 sitting presidents. He's a pretty smart guy. And what he said in his position statement was 2/3 of our planet's population that has ever lived to the age of 65 or older is alive today.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing aging at a rate so high that we've never seen. I mean, the number of centurions that are in Japan, that are in places like Great Britain, that are places here are astronomical highs. And I will tell you, Ulya, you're so right. I mean, we need to focus in on how we can live to 100 years old because many of us are going to.
Yeah, I mean, you know, interesting you should talk about that 100 number because about 68 of Silver Sneakers members are 100 or above. In fact, one of our members recently celebrated their 103rd birthday. And what's interesting is that the member and his daughter were both Silver Sneakers members because obviously his youngest daughter is also above 65. So, you know, coming back to the macro picture, the other reality is that by 2020, 30% of global spend will be controlled by the 60-plus population, and that's about $8 trillion. So
$8 trillion.
$8 trillion controlled by people who are 60 or above. And let's face it, the other generations are really, instead of being upwardly mobile, they are downwardly mobile. And many of them are dependent on their parents and will continue to, you know, on that path. So, you know, as we move forward, the other thing that sort of has become quite clear is that 2/3 of the global wealth will be controlled by women. And women are not only the key decision makers, they're also key influencers for 3 generations, really, for their children, for themselves, their family, and for their parents and their in-laws.
2/3.
2/3.
Wow.
2/3. It's all about the women, I'm afraid.
I agree.
So this is the consumer wealth. So over the next decade, 2/3 of the consumer wealth will be controlled by women. And they make 89% of consumer electronic decisions and 90% of healthcare decisions. Those are the 2 highest categories where they make, you know, the decisions. And again, I think, you know, the market is ill prepared for this whole silver tsunami and this trend. The other trend that's really important that you actually just discussed a little while ago is this aging alone.
Right.
So that again becomes a big issue because aging solo. So already in the U.S., 27% of the population is living solo, and it's not just 65 and above. I'm talking about, you know, the entire population. When you just go from the entire population to the 65 and above, the number gets even much bigger.
It does. It does, and I've seen statistics for 85 and older being over 75% are living home alone.
Yeah, and so, you know, in fact, recently our CEO, Donato Tramuto, along with the CEO of Humana, published a LinkedIn post, which basically a paper which says that, you know, social isolation is like smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So you cut your lifespan by 8 years.
Right.
If you are, so I never realized that social isolation is, you know, as damaging to your health as smoking is. So
we crave it. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but thinking about those 1/3 of 65 and older living home alone, some of them, and I had a geriatrician sitting right in your seat about 3 years ago, they don't get touched daily, weekly, some of them it's a month. And I mean, we crave not only the socialization, we crave human touch, holding a hand, a hug, or just a hand on the back. I mean, we need that. And I think that, I said this earlier. I mean, Silver Sneakers, it helps.
But the human touch.
Yes.
It helps with the human touch.
Building those relationships.
Yeah, it's not just the relationships. You are touched by the check-in person at the desk when you go somewhere. You are touched by the instructor if you're taking a class. And the members actually get very close to the instructors.
That's awesome. I mean, it really is. And like you said, the members also get a chance to interact with other members and form relationships. And, one of the things that we've learned is that not only is socialization important, and Dr. Spearer talked about it when we played him at the last segment, is that we need to make sure our metabolism has really slowed down. We need to make sure they're eating their meals.
Yep.
Because we have lots of older adults that are missing their meals and they're losing weight. And as a result, their bones are brittle, they're breaking down, and have malnutrition and other issues that come along with that.
It's either that or they are eating poorly, which is, both are bad, but eating poorly means that they are having, unhealthy food, which means that they will end up putting on weight. And then if they don't exercise, it leads to diabetes and other chronic conditions. So then they get into this vicious circle of, eating the wrong things, putting on weight, developing diabetes, not wanting to go out, so they will have social isolation. And that, you have to break the vicious circle before it even develops.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's interesting. We talked at the top, the very first segment, the three different companies that form Tivity Health: Silver Sneakers, Prime Fitness, which is really the grassroots marketing for Silver Sneakers.
Yes.
And Whole Health Living. And I want to come back on the fourth segment because I think there's a lot of parallels between Silver Sneakers and Whole Health Living.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're probably going to share what those synergies are.
Correct.
All right, so we're going to go out with a little Jerry Rafferty. So thank you very much, James. You've been listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I've had the pleasure of having Ulya Khan. She's the Chief Operating Officer of Tivity Health. We'll be right back.
Hey, Phoenix, Larry Kudlow here. Be sure to join me every Saturday at 2 p.m. on the Southwest's longest-running financial talk radio station, the one and only Money Radio. And during the week, don't miss Mastering Money with hosts Steve Jurich and Ken Morgan daily at 8 a.m. right here on Money Radio 1510 a.m. and 105.3 FM.
For podcasts, download the free Mastering Money app for both Apple and Android and visit masteringmoneyradio.com.
Driving is unpredictable. Just take it from Carrie. Please don't do this to me. Or Peter.
Go around me, please. Yeah, happy holidays to you too.
Or this family trying to get to Grandma's in time for dinner.
Whoa, what was that?
Oh.
This is Hum. How can I help you?
Oh, hi. We have a flat. Any chance you could send someone out to help?
We have your location, and we'll send help your way.
With all the uncertainties on the road, it's nice to know there's Hum by Verizon. Hum is the connected car system that assists and empowers drivers, so you can stay on top of your car's health and get help when trouble arises. It's a smart way to stay informed about your car and keep your family safer on the road. This holiday season, get Hum and get where you're going. Visit hum.com or your local Verizon store for special holiday savings.
Hello, Bill Tatro here. In all my years in radio, I said the same thing. Whether it's politics or finance, history or economics, it's all about money. I now produce an insightful newsletter called It's All About Money, and I'm presenting an exclusive offer to Money Radio listeners. Go to BillTatro.com/moneyradio to get my newsletter for over half off the regular price and get regular content that will educate, inform, and may even be fun. Go to BillTatro.com/moneyradio for over half off. Do it today.
To relieve muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This fast-acting foam can also prevent muscle cramps. Get TheraWorks Relief today at select CVS and Rite Aid pharmacies or TheraWorksRelief.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we're up on our fourth segment. I've got Ulya Khan here in the studio. She is the COO of Tivity Health, and Tivity Health has three primary business units. It's got Silver Sneakers, Prime Fitness, Whole Health Living. And just so our listening audience knows this, I met Ulya at the Aging 2.0 conference, and I've talked about Aging 2.0 here on our show before. Aging 2.0 is basically, it's a curator of where healthcare and aging meets tech and innovation. And it's really exciting what's happened over the last 5 years, because a lot of new concepts and new ideas are born right there. So it's where some of the great minds that have created things like Google and Facebook and other innovations that are out there that are now trying to work on solutions for older adults. And certainly companies like Tivity Health are doing the same. And Ulya is one of the speakers for one of the sessions, one of the presenters, and she and I got a chance to talk, and I didn't even realize she was right here in our backyard. So I've invited you to be here in the studio, so welcome to the show. We're wrapping things up, so I want to make these last 7 or 8 minutes really, really good. I want to tie things together, but really would like to talk about how the three business units all work together.
Sure, Bob. So it used to be three business units. They are now three products. So we are a product.
Yeah, three products.
Three products. Yeah, it's just the one business, but with three different product offerings. So again, coming back to fitness products are basically Silver Sneakers, which is targeted at 65 and above demographic and offered through Medicare Advantage plans. The other fitness product is Prime Fitness, which is targeted at 18 to 64-year-old demographic, so train them early. And that's really, the second fitness product. The third product is actually, it's a business that was claims management, utilization management. And because of that, we ended up developing a network of about 40,000 physiotherapists, occupational therapists. That's a network we lease. And then another 40,000 of massage therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, you name it. So complementary alternate medicine, which really is really top of mind these days as we look at the devastation that is being caused by the opioid crisis. Recently, I was reading that unlike the rest of the world, the average age in the U.S. is going down, primarily because people are dying young.
Right.
They are being prescribed all these painkillers, and there's overdose or one drug acting badly with another. So instead of, these prescription medicines, what if we were to treat people with massages and with, acupuncture, chiro type treatments? And so the importance of that third product comes into play as we think about integrating the complementary alternate medicine into our fitness products. And you were talking about the musculoskeletal injuries even. So when people work out, sometimes you do injure your muscles and bones and joints. But exercise is important nevertheless to keep the heart healthy, to keep your muscles toned up, and to make sure that the bones don't become brittle. And, the other thing that, Bob, we were discussing was that how some of these older adults crave human touch. So all I'll say to the audience is that as Tivity moves into 2018 and beyond, watch this space, because you will see new product variants coming into the marketplace which really integrate more some of our complementary alternate medicine offerings, whether it's into Silver Sneakers or Prime Fitness. So that I find to be quite exciting, given we already have this strong network of providers. And the other interesting thing is it creates win-win scenarios with the providers in our network, because one thing they don't teach you in medical school or any kind of school that, prepares you for complementary alternate medicine is how to market your services. So we have this ready-made network who could use us as a marketing arm, and then we have, about 14.7 million eligible members for Silver Sneakers. Wow. And then the Prime Fitness, there are about more than 30 million people through commercial health plans are eligible for Prime Fitness. It's also the best kept secret because, just about 250,000 people have signed up for Prime. So I think they don't know how, people don't know that their health plan is offering that benefit to them. It's a paid benefit. It's not a free benefit like Silver Sneakers. Member pay Prime. You pay from January $29 a month, but then you get access to about 9,000 locations, and you can start your fitness program.
Wow, it's incredible because productivity is the fact that you've built this network and you're connected to all these health plans, and most people are on these health plans, they don't really realize there's benefits out there. So I think what I hear you saying is, if you're unsure, connect to Tivity Health. Come out to the website, and you can deep dive into the website. And you can see what health plans are being offered. You can see whether or not you are eligible for Silver Sneakers or Prime Fitness.
Exactly. And then the Whole Health Living is a B2B, product and business, but we are going to now leverage the network that we have built for that.
80,000 practitioners.
80,000 practitioners, correct.
80,000.
For complementary alternate medicine.
So, to sum things up, and we've got about a minute here, I look at Tivity Health as being more, in line with the mind, body, and spirit. I mean, you really are covering all three of those bases. And certainly, the one that you brought up about, whole health living, and you talk about the holistic side, and you talk about opioids. I mean, this is a real issue, and there are other solutions rather than taking these dangerous pills.
Exactly.
And the crazy thing is, I've had Dr. Ben Bobrow, who has the Pain Project, talk about this is one epidemic that doctors actually created. This is an epidemic that was created by medicine, and we overprescribed it.
Well, that's it. Not only do we overprescribe, the other thing is that, the system, the healthcare system is so disparate still that you don't know what, one to the next prescription. And, there's the electronic medical records and other initiatives that should eventually fix it. But there's still, the system is disparate enough for people to be taking drugs with contraindications that then, mean devastation afterwards.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for being here on the show. I learned such a great deal about Tivity Health. I thought it was Silver Sneakers, but it's a whole lot more.
Yes, it is.
And I want to tell our listening audience they can go to tivityhealth.com to learn more.
And check the eligibility for Silver Sneakers, because if they are eligible, then January 1st, they have the benefit.
Ulya and our listening audience, Merry Christmas. We'll be back next Friday. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Bob, and happy holidays. Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Hi, I'm Johnny D. And I'm Rick the Professor Plum. Every day on Bucket Strategy Investing, we're talking about financial planning, investment decisions, and retirement strategies. We focus on wealth education and the strategy designed for the needs you have today and the goals you have for the future. Tune in to Bucket Strategy Investing and call in with questions. Retirement strategies, taxes, Social Security, and more. That's what we're talking about on Bucket Strategy Investing.
Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
KFN Mesa, Phoenix, taking a look at the market. Well, the Dow's down 32 points at 24,749. The S&P dropped a point at 2683. The Nasdaq down 5 at 69.59. Gold is up $8 at $12.79 an ounce. And oil's down 9 cents at $58.27 a barrel.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news.